I would like to have a discussion with him at a future time, and I know the distinguished senator from Utah has something to say as well.
Well, the senator from Utah has had a distinguished career in the United States Senate. His father did before him. He has an unusual perspective of this body, and I wonder what his reflections might be upon Senator Byrd's thought about the importance of allowing senators to reflect the voices of people in the country, and when those voices are cut off in the Senate, they're cut off at home.
Well, Madam President, I thank the senator from Tennessee for his reference to my service, but I use as my example for why I'm here to join this colloquy, not my long service, because it hasn't been all that long by the terms of the Senate, but my experience today. And I think what we experience today here on the floor is a demonstration of what happens. I happen to be one, perhaps a minority on my side of the aisle, I haven't taken a whip check, who is in favor of the DREAM Act. I want to be one who will vote for the DREAM Act. The senator from Tennessee talks about the people and their concern. While I was back in Utah over the weekend, I had a demonstration of very earnest young people show up in front of the federal building to ask me to please vote for the DREAM Act. And they had compelling stories, and I was identifying with what they had to say. But I had to say to them, I won't get an opportunity to vote for the DREAM Act. Oh, yes, they said, you'll have a vote on Tuesday on the DREAM Act. No, the vote on Tuesday is not on the DREAM Act. The vote on Tuesday is on a motion to proceed to the Defense Authorization bill that has been loaded down with amendments that prevents us from having an up or down vote on the DREAM Act itself. They said, well, the DREAM Act will be one of those amendments. The DREAM Act will be added to it. Yes, the DREAM Act will be added to it, but will I have an opportunity to vote on an amendment to strip out the other stuff that I don't like? No, I won't have the opportunity to do that. So this was the dilemma that I explained to these young people. Some of them look too young to vote, but I'm sure they are old enough to vote. It's just that everybody looks a lot younger to me now than they used to. I said, here's the dilemma that I have. By virtue of what the majority leader has done, he's created a parliamentary situation where, in order to vote as you want me to vote, as you express your voice to me, I have to vote opposite to what a large number of my other constituents want me to vote. I have to vote in favor of federal funding for abortions in military hospitals. Somebody will say, oh no, it'll be private funding. Yes, but it'll take place in a military hospital that is supported by federal funding. I have never voted for federal funding in any form for abortions. Now, in order to support the DREAM Act, by the way the tree has been filled, by the way this thing has been put together, I would have no choice. If I vote the way you want me to vote, I will offend a vast majority of my other constituents who don't want me to vote that way on the question of abortions in military hospitals. If I vote to proceed, I will be voting to act precipitously, in my view, with respect to the policy of don't ask, don't tell, which President Clinton signed into law at the beginning of my service here in the Senate. I'm perfectly willing to vote to repeal don't ask, don't tell if the military services complete their survey that tells us that that's right and proper for military performance. But the majority wants to make that decision before they get the information from the military. So I have to cast a vote that I think is the wrong vote for the military in order to vote for the DREAM Act. Well, they looked at me as if I were crazy. Well, certainly you can separate these things and vote on each one on its own individual merits. I had to say to them, no, I can't. The way this is being handled now in the Senate, I cannot vote on the merits of each of these individual items because the majority leader, exercising his right, has packaged them all together, filled the tree in such a fashion that it makes it impossible for you to divide them out and discuss each one on its own merits. I was questioned by the press as I went into lunch. Senator, we thought you were in favor of the DREAM Act. Yes, I am. Well, then aren't you going to vote for cloture on the Defense Authorization Bill? Wait a minute. Cloture on the Defense Authorization Bill becomes the key vote on an immigration issue? That's the situation that we have come to as we get this kind of procedure. And it very clearly, as the senator from Tennessee has made clear, says the voices of the people on the legislation in which they have an interest are not being heard because of this procedural activity. And that's why I've joined in this colloquy to raise my voice in protest to the way this is being done.
Senator from Utah, and Mr. President, we have 5 or 6 minutes remaining, which I'd like to suggest to the senator from Kansas that he take. But the point of our discussion is a very simple idea. This is a year above all years when there are voices in the country that seek to be heard, and when through procedural means the majority